Hello, good day everyone. Today I'll be giving you a brief overview on how to create your own personalized map using the Google My Maps platform. So, in order to create your own personalized map with Google Maps, you will first need to go to the My Maps platform, which you can access through this link. Once you've gone to the My Maps platform, you'll want to select Create a New Map, and when you select that, it will create a new window and a fresh clean map that you can add different markers to in order to create your personalized map. So in order to change the name and the description of the map, you'll want to select the name, which is here, Untitled Map. And upon selecting that, it'll give you the option to change and edit the name and the description. So for example, we can label it something like Sierra Leone demo, just as an example. And as a description, we can put something like CHASL, faith-based facilities, just as an example for something as a place filler. And so once you hit save, it will change the name and the description of the map for you, as you can see here on the side. So the most obvious way to add new markers to a map is to obviously search an address in the search bar, like as if you were searching for a place on Google Maps. So for example, we can use this example here and search for this place. And we can use this as an example, and it'll take us to this location. And we can pick specifically, let's use this as an example. And this is just giving you the options, asking you, is this what you mean? Is this the place that you want to add as a place on the map? And if it is, then you can say, yes, I want to add this as a marker to my map. And so once you have that added to your map, you'll see that you have that individual marker. But this can obviously be quite tedious if you have a lot of different places or facilities or areas that you want to mark out. So adding them individually might take too long, and you may not even be able to physically find them through the Google search, as we know that not all locations are labeled through Google. So if that is the case, or if you have a lot of data that you want to display on the map, the best option would actually be to do something like this, which is to create an Excel sheet where you have different columns of information, including descriptions, names, just lots of information about what these different points will be about, but also then the information on either the latitude and longitude. As you can see here in these columns, you have latitude and longitude. And if you want, you could obviously add another column or have a different column that has, for example, say the address or some other way to identify the specific locations. And so this data here was obtained from a consultant of CCIH, Scott Todd, who was able to collect this data from the World Health Organization. And it kind of just gives a list of hospitals in Sierra Leone, and obviously gives the name of the hospitals as well as the facility type, and then just kind of says whether it's faith-based or NGO, and then gives the coordinates and kind of where the coordinates came from. So this is a very basic map, very basic data table, but it's very useful and very easy to have all of the information in one place. And then with this, you can actually upload this information to My Maps, and it will automatically plot these points for you. So how you would go about doing that is you would go back to your map, and we can delete this just so that it doesn't get in the way. And as you see here in this untitled layer, which you can also change the name of, so we can say Sierra, like we can say World Health Organization, Sierra Leone hospitals, and we can save that, and we can say, okay, now we want to import the data that we had on that Excel sheet. So you would select this here and say, I want to import a file. And from here, you can import a file with one of these types. from your device or from your computer, or for example, like what I have my information saved to Google Drive, and so I'm going to select from something that was shared with me because this information is not mine and it was shared with me. And for example, this is the same Excel sheet that I showed you in the prior tab, and so I'm just going to select this and say this is the data that I want. And what it's going to do is going to collect that data and display it here for you. So it's initially going to ask you which of the columns do you want us to use as the information to put the markers in specific places. So it could either be a column with the latitude and longitude like we saw and like we have, and so it automatically picked up that lat and long was like the latitude and longitude. Or for example, if you have a column with addresses, and you can do the same thing. You can just select one column for the addresses. So because we have two, it's already been pre-selected, and we say, yep, that's correct, we want to do that. You say continue, and then it's asking us now, do we want to use one of these columns to name the place markers? And I think otherwise the default is either like A, B, C, D, or 1, 2, 3, or something like that, and it'll just kind of list it in chronological order. But because we know that yes, we want to be able to identify each individual facility, we can select this and say we want the different markers to be named by the facility name column. And so once we've selected that, we can hit finish, and it will load, and it will automatically plot all of the different locations on the map for us. So super cool. So we now have all of the locations from that Excel sheet plotted here. So, and it also, when you select each marker, it will give you a bit of information about what was in that Excel sheet. So it'll essentially take all the information from there and put it in the information section of each data point or each place marker. So obviously now this is not that helpful because it's just markers, and maybe we want to kind of distinguish the different types of facilities. And so one way you can do that is by editing the actual markers themselves. And so how you would go about doing that is you would go here and you would say, because right now all of the markers have a uniform style, so all of them look the exact same way. And we want to say, no, we don't want to do that. We want to make it different. So we want to organize the markers, and you can actually organize the markers by different things. So for example, if you had different countries, you could say I want to organize them by countries, or you want to organize it between like faith-based versus NGO, or for example, I think the best would be here would be to organize it based on facility type. So we can say we want to organize it based on the facility type, and it'll automatically change the colors for the different facility types and organize it by that. And then once you've selected that, you can then organize what each marker looks like for the different facility types. So like here, as it did automatically, it just changed the colors for each facility type. But if you wanted, you could even change the actual icon. And you would do that by selecting this little, you would hover over the name of the facility type, and you would select this little paint can. And here, you can obviously change the color to something else if you'd like. And you can also change the icon. So you could select from one of these, and if you don't see anything that you'd like here, you can select more icons, and it will pop up with this window to provide you with more options. And with that, you can kind of select, you can either look through all of them, or if you want to kind of filter out and say I want a symbol that looks like a hospital, I can filter and type hospital here, and it'll give me the different options for hospitals. And it will also, if you scroll over them, it'll tell you what each individual symbol should mean. So if we want, we could say, yeah, we want to put this symbol as hospital. We would select it and say okay. And then as you can see now, all the facilities that were mission hospitals have now been changed to the symbol H. And you could even change the color, and so forth. Another thing that you can do, if you don't see a symbol or an icon that you like or that matches what you want to show, you can actually customize and make your own icons. So you can just hit this tab here, say custom icon, and it'll give you the option to actually add a photo in and make your own icons. So you could actually use a photo and create your own icon. So with that, you can obviously change the different icons to something completely different, depending on what you want to do, just to kind of help you distinguish between the different facility types a bit better. Yeah, and then that way it kind of shows on the map the different places, and it'll be an easier identifier for the different types of locations that you have. So the next thing that would be ideal to know how to do or to be able to show on a map is obviously like how to get between places. And so one of the cool features about Google Maps is that you can actually map out a route, or yeah, like you can distinguish different routes to get between different locations and facilities. So let's do yeah, let's map out some routes in Freetown, just as an example on how to do that. So say I wanted to go from this hospital here. Oops, sorry. Yeah, say I want to go to this Mercy Ship Sierra Leone Aberdeen Hospital to Al Khatab Community Health Center. I'm sorry if I butchered that name. Okay, say I want to do that. So I would select this here and draw a line. And with this tool, you can either just draw a line in general or a shape. So if you want to like draw a triangle saying like, oh, in this region something's happening, or in this region something's happening, or label a region, say, oh, we have these types of facilities in this region, you could do that. So you could say, I want to draw a triangle, or I want to draw a little thing here to connect and say, okay, and now you have a shape, and we could say Freetown locations or something like that, to kind of just have it as a place. So then you have this identified place. Another thing that you can do, so I'm just going to delete this real quick, is you can actually map out a route. So say I want to know how to get from, like driving, I want to know how to get from this place, this hospital, to this health center. And because Google Maps has the ability to kind of give you directions, it'll automatically give you directions from the Mercy Ship location to the Iran Sierra Leone hospital. And so as you can see here, it kind of shows you that these are the two spots, and you can obviously change this and edit it and say, okay, I want to do another location. In addition to being able to map out driving routes, you can actually also map out biking routes and walking routes. And the cool thing about Google Maps is it actually gives you like the full directions as if you were using Google Maps. So here, for example, you could say, I want to see the step-by-step directions, and it'll actually give you the step-by-step driving directions, and it would do the same for biking and walking. In addition to being able to like actually map out the route, you can also use Google Maps as well as like the line tool to measure out actual distances. And so you can say, I want to know what the distance is between here and here. And it'll actually tell you it's 6.9 kilometers. And you can actually like do, yeah, different things. Like you can just keep going like as much as you want. And the way to get out of this is to just hit escape and it'll stop. So that's another cool feature that you have with Google Maps, is the ability to actually measure distances between places in order to give someone an indication of like, this is how long it takes, or this is how far away it is. Yeah, so that's the majority of the basics on using Google Maps to create your own maps. In addition to what I've shown you here, another few things that you can kind of do to edit and change and personalize your maps is, for example, you could add what they call another layer. And so when you add another layer, you could, for example, import and add more data points from another data set. And then that way you have more stuff going on and more things being plotted. So you don't have to have all the information on one data sheet if that's not possible, or if you get data later on and you can't add it to the sheet or whatever, you can add another layer is what they label it, is what they call it here and what they refer to here. Um, Additionally, you can change the base, what they call the base map. So you would go here and change the base of the map. And so, for example, if you wanted to look more realistic, you could go with something like satellite view, and in that way, it looks a bit more realistic as to like, oh, like it's kind of hilly here or rocky here, or there's some water here. So it kind of gives you that more realistic feel of like what the terrain would be like. So these are just the general things that you can do and use with Google Maps. There's definitely more, and as I spoke about when we were on the call, there's definitely the option to obviously map larger distances and to use maps to show different stories. So, for example, you could even add like photos here to kind of show what the specific um, facilities look like in a picture form. You could add connecting lines to different places to say, oh, these two places operate, under the same person. Or you could even use it for supply chain information. You could say, oh, this place supplies things to that place, or this is how things are going to move. It's going to start here as like the main site, and then it'll be distributed to here, here, and here, and you could draw lines going out from there.